Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the bed I made. I'm Harley, a YouTube channel I use for my own personal records for all things mental health and just to kind of put my story out there. I'm Harley. Today I want to talk about residential treatment facilities because, girl, the tea. 4 years ago, I made a really shitty, so shitty, such a shitty video. I made a really shitty video about my background in residential treatment care. Today I would like to specifically talk about Chaddock. Now, after being at the Boys and Girls Home and the Pavilion, which, again, big shout out to Pavilion. Huge shout out to Pavilion. They saved my life. I went to Chaddock. Now, before you go to a residential treatment facility, 9 times out of 10, if it's possible, okay, if possible. Sometimes it's not possible because they have to get you in there like as soon as possible, like you're on the streets kind of thing. Usually though, they will try to set up a tour with a residential treatment facility, an interview with a residential treatment facility. You'll get to know these people before either of you make a decision whether or not you're a good fit for the program. Well, Chaddock had that with me, and we did tour the facility, and they still paint such a grandiose picture, like, oh, your family will be whole again, and you'll be a family, and your child will change, and every child deserves a chance, and blah, 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 blah. And they're backed by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in ambassadorships, and they just are a whole, I almost want to say mafia. They are like a mafia in and of themselves. So I did this tour, and they made it sound so picturesque. They were all about me and my independence and me being allowed to have my own room. Anything I wanted in said room, I had it. They were very imminent that I was entitled to my own belongings, to my own stuff, that I was going to be very happy in their facility, that I would have a key to my bedroom, that I would be able to come and go as I pleased. Eventually, I knew I had to work up to that, but I would eventually be able to come and go as I pleased, and that I would eventually be independent. So I walked into this facility thinking that my life was going to change, that I was going to become this whole new person. I was going to be this better person. I walked in there completely ready, and I want to make this very clear because I know that certain staff members there will never, ever, ever get this. I walked in there completely prepared to change myself, how I thought, how I felt, and how I saw the world. I really was so ready. I was ready to just be done with depression and be a normal person again. I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home. That's all I wanted, and I want to make that very clear. And I want you to remember that I said that as we go through this. I just wanted to go home. I wanted to be with my siblings. I wanted to be with my mom and dad. I wanted to be able to go out with my friends and be able to see my now ex-husband and whenever I wanted to without, I just wanted to go home. I just wanted this to be over. I walked into Chaddock completely prepared to settle the scores, do what I needed to do, answer for my wrongs, and go home. I just wanted to go home. And I don't think anybody understands that, is that these kids aren't coming to you, and essentially maybe they are, before I say that. These kids are very scared, very displaced, very uprooted, and they don't know how to feel about that. When I left Champaign, when I left Pavilion, I felt like I was leaving a part of who I was in Champaign. And essentially I did. Like, they brought me back from the dead. I mean, I was a whole new kid. And I just wanted to keep that feeling going. When I walked into Chaddock, I specifically even remember looking at Miss Danielle, my therapist, who doesn't work there anymore, as far as I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure, but rumor has it she doesn't. I don't know. I only go off what the girls tell me. But I even told Miss Danielle that when I first met her, like, I just want this to be over. I just want this to be over. I just want to go home. I just want to be done with this. Whatever home looks like, fine. I just want to get out of here. And she knew that. She fucking knew that. Because we had that conversation. We looked right at each other. And she asked me, what are you hoping to get out of this program? I just want it to be over. I just want to learn what I need to learn. I want to be independent. And I want to go home. I want to move back to the Quad Cities. I want to go home. And they damn well knew that. Okay? And that was the plan all along. That was the selling point of me going into that facility, was that they were completely on board with me being independent by the time I was 18. Okay? 18. I want you to remember that too. Okay? Just remember that. Just 18. And at 18 years old, I was told that, I was told that at 18 I would be independent on my own, have my own medication, have my own access to my own stuff. I'm sorry if I go quiet. I have stuff popping up over on this side of the laptop that I need to pay attention to as well. I I had a goal, and I thought we were on the same page. Like, I could have sworn we were on the same page, kind of thing. Like, I thought for sure we were on the same wavelength. Anyway, sorry, again, I'm trying to pay attention to 100 different things, and I have ADHD. So I was told at 18 years old I was done. This was it. This was the home stretch. You're out of here after this. You're no longer the state's problem. You're your own problem. And I was down for that. Like, so hard I was down for that. Y'all don't even understand how down for that I was. I mean, hi. Obviously, I was pretty down for that. And I signed on. I went into Hoyt Cottage originally. Hoyt Cottage was being moved to Wesley Cottage for electrical fault. This building was falling apart. Like, it needed a total reno really bad. So they built another cottage down the hill for the little girls, and they moved us into their cottage. Well, my cottage manager, Mr. Biggie, warned us that we were moving. We're going to have more space. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be perfect. Mind you, the cottage I went into looked like a house. A living room, a kitchen, a dining room. But it looked like a house. Like, it was somewhere I wanted to be. There were no seclusion rooms. Okay? There were no white rooms. Those were not a thing. But then Mr. Biggie started to make comments once in a while, like when the girls and I, like, if we started to act a fool, I'm going to say we, because we all know I was a part of that too. Mr. Biggie was making comments like, wait till we get to the new place. Like, I can't wait to get you girls to the new house. I can't wait. Can't wait to start punishing. Can't wait to start handing out punishments. And I'm sitting there like, whatever. They don't it can't be any worse than here where we're just chilling at the table. I mean, we had a back table, but we did not have a white room. We did not have a seclusion room. We were the older girls. Okay, we weren't supposed to have all this in there in our cottage. We were the highest aged children on campus, women. I'm not even going to say children. We were women. We were the highest aged women on campus that you could be without being there. Okay? Like if you were any older than 18, 19, you could not reside on campus. You had to reside off campus in an ILO, which is an independent living opportunity, which is exactly where I was supposed to be headed. Okay? Now, when we moved over to Wesley Cottage, life became miserable. Like, absolutely miserable. It was fun for the first couple days while we all settled in and, got new bedrooms. And I think we all got new bed sets donated to us or something like that. We got to choose what we wanted. It was fine, cool. But once we all started to settle in and behavior started up again, Mr. Biggie started handing out punishments. And he was having little girls, not like little girls, but little small petite women held down on the floor and given PRN shots. I had never seen this happen at Hoyt Cottage, our old cottage, not once. I'd only been there a couple months, granted, but that was not a thing at Hoyt. And they moved this girl into the seclusion room, shut the door prematurely, and cracked her ribs. And they left her there for hours. Hours. That poor girl sat there miserable and in pain for hours because Steph thought she was attention seeking and playing it up and milking it and doing whatever she could to get out of seclusion, which, to be fair, I'd have done the same. But obviously she had broken bones. That's a different kind of pain. And you can't fake that. And they just left her there. Now, with me, I was a troublemaker. I will never lie to you. I made staff's life a living hell. Okay? But here's why. Here's why I made your lives a living hell. You get what you give. Okay? Respect is a two-way street. This is not, you're not going to tell me I have to respect you when you can't respect me. You won't let me call my family. You're not letting us out of the house. You're not letting us off campus. You're fucking putting us in fucking seclusion rooms and white rooms. White rooms were a bedroom with nothing in it. Everything was stripped. White paint, white floor, no mattress, no pillow, no blanket, no stimulation at all whatsoever. You were not allowed to talk to your peers. They were not allowed to look at you. You were not allowed to look at them. There were bars on the window. The windows also had gloss film over them. You could not clearly see out of any bedroom windows in the house. If you wanted to get a fresh look outside, you better be looking out the two hallway doors. And if they caught you on camera underneath the camera because that's a blind spot, you got in trouble. So looking outside costed you literally your programming. And they would leave you in these rooms at these tables, in these seclusion rooms for days. Days. Okay, I have a best friend now, Emma, who ended up back in prison because being in prison, at least she had some kind of stimulation. It was awful. Since then they've banned seclusion rooms, but every time I've been on campus, every time I've talked to staff, there's still seclusion rooms there, and they're still being used as such. And nobody's investigated them because they're backed by ambassadors, and they are just these wonderful people, and they can do no wrong. I'm here to tell you all that's bullshit, and let me tell you why that's bullshit. Chaddock has millions of dollars invested with ambassadors, board members. They have so much. They have literally half of Quincy, Illinois on their side. The police department is under their thumb. The fire department is under their thumb. They literally have everybody on their side. Now, Chaddock policy states that when a child runs from them, once the child crosses the street, they cannot pursue. They need to back off, they need to call 911, and they need to file a missing persons report. Okay? Usually, they're going to arrest you for something called, I believe, wardship, I think is what they had it listed as. They will arrest you for something called wardship, and take you back. They'll take you back. You won't even get to see a judge. They'll just take you back. Now, I won't lie. I had done that a few times before I successfully completed it. I had a boyfriend off campus. His name was Chris. He was definitely a problem. I had so many problems with that guy, and I still do. And I would go off campus to the library because eventually, they gave me my IT because my DCFS worker had to get involved. My DCFS worker, her name was Jenna. She would pick me up every week. So if I needed to go get clothes, shoes, anything I needed to go do, any errands I needed to run, I had to run them with her because I was allowed to ride with staff, but usually we were understaffed, and it is what it is. It's okay. My worker had no problem doing it. So once a week, I was allowed out of the house with Jenna. On weeks that I wasn't on home visit, I was allowed to go with Jenna. Mind you, I only had 2 home visits in a matter of 2 years that I lived there. We'll get to that. I would go out with Jenna and do anything I needed to do. Eventually, I mentioned to her one day, she goes, I don't understand why you can't be doing this during the week after school. You have free periods. And I was like, oh, well, they haven't given me my individual time yet. And I don't even have a key to my room. Like, I just started laying it on her. Like, I finally just gave up. And I was like, it's funny that you and I toured this place together and they promised all these things. And so far, I'm being treated like I'm a residential child. Like, you moved us into a cottage that had seclusion rooms, white rooms, basically torture rooms. And you stopped programming for these kids. Like, my programming would stop. Okay, I was done. Like, I was not welcome at group. I was not welcome to eat with the girls. I was not welcome I was no longer a part of the family. Like, shunned. No talking. Oop, you're invisible. No one sees you. And you would be with a staff. Like, there would be this one staff that you had. Like, you would be holding their hand. You hold their hand. Like, they'll hold literally hold your hand and walk you around campus. You have to hold their hand. Like, it's a trust thing. And they'll make you hold male staff's hand, too. And they'll have male staff hold girls' hands, and girls will hold, they'll do that. They don't care. They don't care. That's not creepy at all, right? Right. Okay, so, and I told Jenna about all this. And she walked into my cottage and essentially told my cottage manager, Mr. Biggie, she was like, look, this is not what I signed up for with my kid. Like, this is not what you promised her. And I need this to change. And Mr. Biggie was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Got your back, Jenna. Don't you worry. She's in great hands. Yeah, I was in great hands, all right. Let me tell you. 15 years later, they still know every move I fucking make, and I don't know how. I mean, yeah, I post videos a lot, but for some reason, they know about my kids. They know who my kids belong to. They know I'm where I live. And that's because they've sent mail to me once from records, twice maybe, but have gone out of their way to get my address. They now have my personal cell phone number because they'll pass it around. They'll pass it around campus to each other. I found out just Friday afternoon, speaking to Mr. Biggie, or Monday morning, sorry, I left him a voicemail on Friday because I needed records. He called me back Monday and was like, well, haven't you been talking to Miss Sierra about this? Miss Sierra doesn't work in our cottage anymore. She works at the school. Like, school's not even on campus anymore. So she's either going out of her way to meet up with Mr. Biggie and talk about me and my children, or she's calling Biggie from campus to campus on the phones and talking to Biggie about me and my children. This is why I don't talk to them. This is why I don't trust them. This is why I never trusted them. This is why I don't do well with two-faced bullshit. I just don't. I'm not. Oh, I hate two-faced people. I hate two-faced people. I understand these people did their best with us, okay? But this is not your best. This is not what you do. This is not how you handle things. This is not how you treat a child that is going through things that I am going through. This is not how this works. If I need to access my high school transcripts, you shouldn't have all of my information to a point where you're asking me how my children are doing. And I don't even let my children have an online presence, let alone, I mean, they play Roblox, but it's under my account. Like, yeah, they have a Nintendo Switch under my account. They've got everything they need under my account. Healthcare, video games, you name it. It's all under my account, okay? Like, my children are none of their business. None of their business, okay? Oh, I heard you got a couple kids now. I do. And if you don't hurry up and help me with what I need, I'm going to lose the housing assistance I need for my children. That was not an invitation for you to ask me how my children are doing. And a couple of kids, I never said I had a couple of kids. I said I have little kids running around this house that I need to do this for. And it's irritating, okay? I'm at a point where they tortured me. They literally held me down, put me at a table, secluded me for days, cut me off from my family. Oh yeah, had a weeks at a time where I was not allowed to communicate with my family. I didn't speak to my dad in person or on the phone. They would not let me speak to my mom. My mom is dead now. Thanks for that. Thanks for taking away, such precious time. Fuck you. I have a lot of resentment for them. They are horrible people, and I've forgiven them. I forgave them a long time ago. I forgave them. I forgive you for everything you've done to me. I forgive you, because if I didn't, I'd be dragging your ass into court, and I'd be walking out with a couple $1,000,000 at least. You would be paying my livelihood for the rest of my life. I guarantee it. Like, but I'm not that person. Like, these people are my family, practically. Like, literally, we spent holidays together, birthdays together, like Christmases and 4th of Julys and summer vacations. I mean, but the element of torture behind it, you either do what I say or your programming stops. You don't get to have friends anymore. You don't get to go anywhere. You don't even get therapy at that point. You have to beg. You have to beg or write your therapist a letter or sit in your ACR or your team meeting, whatever they call it. I don't know. They called it an ACR for me. But sit in your ACR, which that's where they go around the table and tell you about everything you're doing wrong. They make you feel about this big. Okay? They want you to cry right in front of them. They want to break you down as far as they can, and they'll just sit there like this and stare at you. and stare at you some more. And then ask you how you feel about it. And why are you crying, Josie? Like, no, not at 17 and a half years old. I think the actual fuck not. So I did what any person would do. I left. In the middle of the night, I had a staff member who I initiated and told her, look, I'm 18 years old. I'm out of here. You can't stop me. You're the only staff member on shift. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. So you can walk into that office. You can go get me my ID. You can grab me my cigarettes, my lighter, and my wallet. Or I am calling the police. And I am letting them know that you are not even giving me access to my personal belongings, let alone letting me out of the house. She goes, well, you're a ward of the court. I don't have to let you out of the house. I was like, okay, but I require my ID, so go get it. She goes and gets my ID. Okay, now you can go get my wallet, too. Why do you need your wallet? None of your business. Go get my wallet. She comes out with my wallet. I leave. Literally walk out the front door. I leave. I'm on camera. They have me on camera walking out the front door at like 3 a.m. I leave. They send duty officer after me. Duty officer is like the campus security, wannabe security. Like, he's not even the only actual security guard I've ever seen on campus was Mr. Oliver. Like, he's the only actual security guard I've ever seen on campus for over 200 kids a day was Mr. Oliver. And he's cool people. I got nothing bad to say about Mr. Oliver. I've got nothing to say bad about the school staff, period, like, except Miss Sierra. But she wasn't school staff when I was there, so it was still my regular staff. Well, I left in the middle of the night, and there was a Shell station less than like a quarter mile away from us. It was literally at the stoplight. And the girl that worked there overnight, her name was Chrissy. She was one of my best friends. I had developed a really close relationship with her. I had to. You have to. You have to develop relationships like outside of Chaddock, like with Chris Johnson and Chrissy. I had a friend named John Huddleston and a friend named these were Chris Johnson and John Huddleston were day students. So they came in, they went to school with us, and then they went home to their parents, like to their houses with their families. They were outpatient, what y'all would call outpatient. But I had friends like that too. And I would go to the Shell station and I would call Chris and be like, yo, I'm out. Where are we meeting? And I would walk. I would walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. I have walked through like at least 5 pairs of shoes in Quincy. And I left and I ran to Chrissy and I was like, look, I've got like maybe 10 minutes before they figure out where I'm at. And she goes, what do you mean? And I was like, I took off. I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. I'm 18 and a half years old and they've got no plans to let me go. They're not doing anything to help me. My programming is stopped. I've been sitting in a seclusion room for 3 weeks. I'm going insane. Get me out of here. And she handed me the phone and said, I can't do anything but hand you the phone. I cannot harbor a fugitive. I can't do that. I can't harbor a runaway. I can't get involved. But here's the phone. So I called Chris and I was like, look, I'm at the Shell station. Please. I understand that you're tired of dealing with my shit and I'm sorry, but things are really bad and I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And he goes, okay, I'm on my way. Hops in his mom's car and comes and gets me. Well, he gets up there in like 5 minutes flat because he doesn't live far away. Gets up there and is like, okay, get in the car, we're leaving. Gets me down to his apartment, cuts off my hair, dyes it, puts a baseball hat on me, colored contacts, and stuffs me down at the Memorial Park under the bridge. Leaves me a tent, a warm blanket, a pillow, and says, look, I'll be back for you. Just stay low, stay hidden, stay quiet. Don't say a word. Don't respond to your name. Nothing. They will come looking for you at the parks. I need you to hide. So there was a raised bathroom hut, like an outside bathroom area. It was raised off of the ground by 18 inches, low enough that a cop isn't going to just look in it. And I hid under there with a possum and a raccoon for 2 days, waiting for him to come back. When he came back, he had a backpack with a cell phone, a burner phone, $150 cash, some food, and a Greyhound ticket, and was like, "Look, we're getting you out of here." Like, there had to have been an underground system I didn't know about, and I'm pretty sure there is. But there has to be. It's a residential treatment facility. There's probably an underground system I don't know about. But got me the resources to get me the fuck out of there. I came back to Davenport. I showed up at my mother's doorstep, and I looked right at her, and I said, "I ran away. I need your help. Here's what's going on." I showed her all the bruises. I showed her everything that had happened to me, told her everything that had happened to me, told her that they were not proceeding with programming. I was stuck on go. Like, do not pass it, just stuck there. Like, the car had stalled pretty much. And she goes, "So what? What are they going to do?" I was like, I think they're going to pull a conservatorship on me, Mom. And she goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "They could hold me till I'm 25. And she goes, "Oh, hell no. That is not what I signed up for. Like, yeah, you needed help. Yes. I gave you to your aunt and uncle because I knew they could find you that help. This is not what I signed up for. We're moving you." She moved me to my dad's. She showed up with me at my dad's house here in Davenport, like across. Chaddock is in Illinois. My dad lives here in Davenport, Iowa. Technically, Iowa and Illinois can communicate because I literally live right on the border. The Quad Cities shares the border with the Mississippi River. It's why it's called the Quad Cities. But I was moved. My mom was like, "We're going to your dad's. Get your stuff. No trace of you being in this house. None. Grab your stuff. Let's go. Get in the car." Moved me again in the middle of the night. Moved me to my dad. Showed up. "I need you to take Josie. Here's what's going on. This is what's happening. These people are not treating her right. I'm working with her worker to get her out of here." At this point, my worker knew where I was. My mom had called her and was like, "I'm not giving her back to you. No. Over my dead body, will you come and get this little girl?" And my worker was like, "Look," Jenna was like, I agree. It's time. It's time for Josie to emancipate. I'm going to get her a court date. Keep her hidden. Keep her hidden. I'm going to get her a court date." That is exactly what she told my mom. My mom dropped me off at my dad's house. Told my dad, "You're taking her." My dad reluctantly agreed and took me. My dad looked at my mom and told her, "Fine, whatever, take her upstairs." At that point, he was living with my older brother in a house just on the other side of the bridge. I have allergies, and it's like 5:30 in the morning when I'm filming this because I have to take my daughter out to Wisconsin today. But it's also like the worst time of year for this. But my dad was like, "Look, I'm not here for this, okay? I'm not, whatever's going on with you, Josie, I'm over it." Like, I love you, but I'm over it. My dad does not play around. Like, he's not been around, and he doesn't have much room to talk, but it's not his fault. And I've tried to tell everybody I know that I love my dad. He is my best friend. I don't care what happened between him and my mom, and that's between them. That has nothing to do with me. Like, I am not getting in the middle of this. But I went into hiding. 2 weeks later, my brother and I, my older brother and I on my dad's side, wake up at like midnight. I have insomnia amidst every other thing I have going on in this world. I have insomnia. And I couldn't sleep. My brother couldn't sleep. We looked at each other and we were like, bitch, let's go get some cheeseburgers. This is back when McDonald's was still 24/7. He was like, bitch, let's go get some cheeseburgers. And I was like, all right, cool, bet. Let's go get some cheeseburgers. Little did I know that my brother was drunk. Okay, like, I didn't realize it until it fully kicked into his system and we were halfway out to McDonald's. Mind you, my brother also had a broken pelvis at the time. I don't know why we did it. We were young, we were dumb. It's okay. But you live and you learn. And he pulled over on the side of the road to catch his breath, get his bearings, and someone called the cops. Like, it's 2 a.m. Someone called the fucking cops because people don't know how to mind their own fucking business. And called the cops. Cops showed up. Originally, I gave them a false name. I gave them my biological name, but I like fucked up. I gave it my now married name, and the cop was like, nah, that's not popping up in my system, and you look a lot like somebody we're looking for. And I was like, fine, whatever. What do we do now? And he goes, well, who knows where you are? I was like, my worker. He goes, DCFS knows where you are? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting because we have a warrant for your arrest from DCFS. I was like, well, it ain't from DCFS. I guarantee you it's from Chaddock. And he goes, is that how you say that? And I was like, yeah, that's how you say that. And he goes, the fuck is Chaddock? And I told him, like, you know how we have the Annie Whitmire Center here and, you know, transitions and all that? Yeah. Okay, think that, but like Fort Knox. And he goes, what do you mean? And I told him, look, I've been abused. I've been in a residential treatment facility. I've been abused. I've been held against my will. I've been locked in a fucking seclusion room for 3 weeks. I was going insane. I left. I'm 18 and a half years old. You cannot legally hold me. And he goes, how do you know all this? And I was like, sweetie, when you're sitting in a residential treatment facility and you're trying to actively get out because you know you're not getting anywhere and you know you're being abused and you know you're being used and you're a paycheck at this point, you learn to look stuff up and you leave. And he goes, okay, well, I still have to take you down. Like, you're going to have to get in the back of my car. I was like, okay, well, I'm bringing my bike. Straight up was like, I'm bringing my bike. The bike comes with me. And he goes, that's fine. We'll hook your bike up. I'll lock it up outside. I was like, you better promise me you're locking that bike up. I was not going anywhere without my bike. And Davenport's not small. Okay, like, I can walk around Quincy, sure. I ain't walking around Davenport. I'm either having my car or my bike. Thank God I have a car. But I got in the back of his car willingly. He didn't even put handcuffs on me because I was completely calm. Kept my wits about me. Cried a little bit. You know, your nerves get to you after a while. I have anxiety. Hi, I'm Josie. Nice to meet you. But I did what they asked me to do. What was I going to do? Not get in the back of his car? Resist arrest? What was I going to do? Make this worse for myself? Nah, I'm okay. Like, I called my dad. My brother was already on his way back home. They let my brother go. Like, my brother was like, look, if you're taking her, you've got to let me go. I've got to go get her dad. And they're like, fine, whatever. We're taking Josie. He's like, fine, whatever, take her. I got to go get her dad. He's already on his way back home. I'm calling my dad from the back of the squad car. Dad, they found me. And he goes, oh, shit. Okay, I'm calling your mom. Hang on. Calls my mom. My mom calls me. Where are you? I'm headed down to Rock Island County. Meet me there. She gets down to Rock Island County before me. before me, okay? Mind you, this cop is light sirens the whole way out to Rock Island. My mom had to have been doing the same 75 mile an hour and 35 mile an hour zones to get to me. My mom shows up at the precinct before me, meets that cop at the fucking sidewalk and says, "You're not taking her anywhere." And he goes, "Oh, really? I'll take you too." And she goes, "Okay, let's go. You're taking me too then, because you're not taking my daughter in." Just then, DCFS shows up. "Josie, what's going on? Are you ready to go back?" "I'm not going back. I'm not going back. You can take me to jail. You can walk me right into that fucking county building, and I will gladly sit in a jail cell, but I'm not going back to Chaddock with you." Let him know everything. Told him, "I'm being abused. I am being used, and I don't like it. I need out of here. I'm not going back." And he goes, "Okay, all right, calm down." I'm like, "No, this motherfucker wants to arrest me. You want to take me back to Quincy? No, don't tell me to calm down. I'm not going with either one of you, not willingly." And he goes, "I never said you had to." I was like, "Okay, I just want to make it clear. I am not going back to Quincy, Illinois. Not with him. Not with you. Not to Chaddock." I told him, if I go back to Quincy, it will be as a free woman. And it will be on my own time. And when I am ready to face that demon, and when I am ready to forgive and forget. He goes, "Well, there's no such thing as forgetting." And that has stayed with me. That my own DCFS personnel was able to look at me and go, "There's no forgetting." That hit home for me. Like, they let me go that night. They gave me back to my dad under, I think it was under like respite care or something. There was some loophole that they pulled, and they took me to my dad's. Well, court came around. Jenna shows up. Biggie shows up. Rosie shows up. She's the case manager of the house. Danielle shows up. They all show up. Jenna ready to fight a fucking war if she has to. Fucking my attorney shows up, and I show up, and my dad shows up. And we all walk into this courtroom. And the judge takes one look at me, says, "Ma'am, how old are you?" 18 and a half years old, Your Honor. "I'm sorry. This is no longer a juvenile case. She shouldn't even be in the systems at this point. She should be out on her own. She should be emancipated. This is not who didn't emancipate her." And my worker was like, "I tried." He goes, "So who filed the warrant for her arrest?" And Biggie raised his hand. You also had the same fucking audacity to put yourself on the phone Monday morning and pretend to be okay with me. And I love you. I love you because, again, you are practically like family to me. And I feel it's my job to love you no matter what. But I am never going to forget what you did to me. Like, I really hope, I really fucking hope that nobody else at Chaddock is going through this. Like, I hope to God somebody figures out what these people are up to. Because even now, when I ask them for records, these records are incomplete. I know there are more incident reports than that. I know there are. I was there. Thank you. I was there. I was there for the whole thing. Like, I know exactly what these people were up to. My school staff were amazing. Like, getting through high school was a breeze compared to dealing with these motherfuckers on a daily basis. Now, there were some staff in the house that were cool people, like Miss Kathy and Miss Jenny with a Y, not Jenny with an I. Fuck that bitch. Fuck you. Fuck you, ho. Love you. But no. Haha. No. Never again will you talk to me. Never. Promise you that. I'm not talking to half these people ever again. But when I'm calling Mr. Biggie and Miss Sierra, I must have a little bit of trust left for you. And you're going to betray that by going and talking to each other about me? I'm 33 years old now, guys. I'm not a kid no more. Anything you have to say, you can say it to my face. Like, we're all adults now. We are all adults now. It is not okay. It's not okay. Like, I have my problems with some of these staff. And some of these staff I'll never forgive. Miss Diane, I had a journal, okay? And your journal was like your safe space. It was the only safe space you were supposed to have. She would grab my journal out of my room, write in it, like read my personal journal entries, which it even says in your welcome handbook, your journal is your own. Nobody can touch your journal. Your journal cannot be used against you in any way, shape, or form. You are allowed to keep a journal with anything and everything you want to keep in it. You may curse. You can draw in it. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to discuss it with staff. That is your journal. She'd go into my room. She would grab my journal. She would read it. She would write me notes. She'd put it in my mailbox. Our mailboxes were open, okay, like in the living room. So anybody could have walked by and grabbed it. She couldn't even walk 10 steps back to my room because she's fucking lazy. I would grab that shit out of my room. It got to a point where I attacked her. And I'll admit I attacked her. I will admit that I attacked her so hard. You don't ever go through my journals. Even now at 33 years old, don't touch my journals. Don't touch my laptop, and don't touch my journals, and possibly my cell phone. Like, those 3 things are mine. Even my kids know that. Like, my own children, my 12-year-old son, and my 7-year-old daughter know not to touch those 3 items in my house. Like, a grown woman can't even stay out of my journal. Like, they would go through my iPod. They would go through my wallet. Like, and I'm supposed to be TLP. Like, you're not supposed to be going through my stuff without probable cause. If you don't have probable cause, you're not supposed to be going through my stuff. So if you have probable cause, where's the documentation for that? I want to see it. I want to see it. Because I'm sitting here remembering things quite differently. Quite differently. Like, my best friend Samantha, her name's Julia. She had to call them out. They built a whole website. Oh, we're on this list and we're number 1 on America's list. Julia was like, okay, show me the list. Show me the list you're number 1 on, because I guarantee you it doesn't exist. And it didn't. They can't produce that list. They won't produce that list. They blocked me on Facebook because they fucking, they had a groundbreaking going for the school years ago. Years ago. They had a groundbreaker going for the school. They built a new school building. And they had Miss Reed, and like 5 other ambassadors with a shovel doing the whole thing. I called them out on that post and was like, how many of y'all are fucking getting new Ferraris for this? How many of y'all are going to get a new car? While us kids are sitting here in tattered clothing and struggling to stay alive and make ends meet, you're making us go on food stamps. Like, yeah, they would make you go on food stamps, okay? Like, they would not even, if you were in TLP, you cooked your own meals. Like, on weekends, you cooked your own breakfast, lunches, and dinners. You were in charge of your own meal prep, on weekends, because you're learning to be out on your own. Cool. Fair enough. Right. Cool. Awesome. Well, they made me go on food stamps and pay for it myself. And if I ran out of money, bitch, I was eating ramen noodles on the weekends. Like, peanut butters and jellies. Like, they would not feed me food unless there was leftovers. Like, I would have to call Jenna and be like, yo, can you spot me a $20 bill? I'd have to borrow money from my DCFS worker, even though I had thousands of dollars sitting in a stipend account, a student account, right in their administration office, which, by the way, took me months to get back from them. When I left Chaddock, I had to threaten to sue them. My dad had to actually call a lawyer and have a lawyer call them to release my funds. Like, there was like this almost whole legal thing between them and me over my money when I left, because they were going to try to keep my money and claim that it was overdue balances. DCFS covered those, sweetie. DCFS covered all of those. And what they didn't, my medical insurance did. So come at me with something else. Like, they think I'm stupid. They think I don't know where my funding was coming from. Jenna would answer any questions I had. Now, should she have answered half of those questions? Probably not. But that's none of their business. Absolutely none of their business. What happened between me and Jenna was strictly between me and Jenna. Like, that's a whole HIPAA thing. Like, they don't even have the rights to access any service notes from Jenna because that's DCFS and their Chaddock. Like, they don't even have a right to tell me they couldn't deny me a phone call to her. They would try. They could not deny me a phone call to her. I would have to take off on IT, go out for a cigarette break, walk to the Shell station and call her from the Shell station because they wouldn't let me call her. And that was my right. That was my right as a patient. Like, they would constantly violate my rights. Constantly. And they'd think I'm stupid. And Mr. Biggie would always tell me, you're stuck with me. No, I'm not. I told him, the day I graduate high school, I'm out of here. You just don't know it yet. You will not even see it coming. You won't even know what hit you. I'll be out of here. He goes, you keep thinking that, Josie. You go right on thinking that. Sucks when I'm right, doesn't it? Like, I just want to be the one to say that. I just want to say that. Like, after all these years, sucks when I'm right. Damn, funny how that works. Kind of sucks when I know my rights and took control of that shit. I'm not playing these games with them anymore. I deserve to be heard, and I'm going to heal out loud for the rest of my life. If that's what it takes, I don't care. Anyways, I'm going to bed. So, night, y'all. Talk to you later.